Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
Folks, I am so excited to kick off this season number 4 of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. I have a special episode for you to kick off the new year. Well, first, I want to thank you all for being here. You could have been any place, you could have been listening to anything, but you are here. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been rocking with me since day one, thank you for being here. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt stuck trying to get into better shape? I mean, we've all been there. Maybe you're dealing with some extra weight, pre-diabetes, or type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and you just can't seem to figure things out. You want to live healthy. You just simply don't know where to start. Well, folks, you're not alone. I know how tough it can be when you want to feel healthier, you want to look better, you want to fit into that nice outfit, but life keeps throwing obstacles your way. Whether it's food cravings, staying consistent with your workouts, or just finding the time and energy to make a lasting change. Well, today, folks, we're having a real conversation with someone who knows exactly what it feels like. They can relate to what you're dealing with. It's my good friend, Anthony Coleman. Anthony has been through struggles and has come out stronger on the other side. His weight loss transformation is very powerful. He has a compelling story, and he's here to share his journey, the challenges he's faced, and the lessons he's learned along the way. Folks, he lost over 70 pounds, and we discussed the ups and the downs during his weight loss journey. My man Anthony experienced a turning point on his path towards a healthy lifestyle and developing the right mindset to make it a successful journey. Now, trust me, you're going to want to stick around to hear the rest of this episode. So grab your coffee, grab something to drink, because guess what? We're going to dive into this conversation. Are you ready? Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. So I want to welcome everybody to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. Man, I have a special guest here with me. He goes by Coleman. He's Anthony Coleman, longtime friend. You know, I rescued him from Saigon. You know, he was in a concentration camp and, no, I'm just kidding. So welcome, Ant. What's going on, sir?
Hey, good morning, Oscar. How you doing? And I appreciate you rescuing me from Saigon. I really do.
Right.
It's flipping the other way around. But either way, I've known Oscar for a long time. And so when he asked me to join him on this podcast, I was like, yes, most definitely. I would definitely do it. So good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Coleman, man, we both have been on a health journey. I think you probably started your health journey long before I did. And I know you have a compelling story, man. And I wanted to, give my listeners an opportunity to meet you and to hear a little bit about your story and from your health journey to just things in general, anything you want to talk about. So, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, and so forth.
Okay, I'm unique. I was born in Soest, Netherlands, but I'm an American citizen. My father was in the military, so I've been back to the Netherlands once. So
Wow.
So I've had a chance to travel around the world a lot, and I really enjoyed my travels. I've seen a lot of different things. It really makes you love where you're living now. I know a lot of people say, I'm going to move out of the United States, but unless you're going to a country that I don't know of, this is the best country in the world to be in. So with that being said, I've been in law enforcement for over 30-something years. On the tail end, I'm on the real tail end of my career now. So,
wow.
Yeah, I am. I've been doing this for a while, doing some personal security for a while. So, I've had a chance, like I said, travel the world, do a lot of different things and see a lot of different things. Unfortunately, see a lot of different negative things and see people in the most negative their most negative behaviors. But I probably wouldn't trade anything, and probably would do it again if I could.
Wow. So just a little backstory for everybody. So Coleman and I used to work together, if you will. I wasn't on the law enforcement side or the personal protection side, but what I used to do kind of aligned with him. So we would always just kind of chop it up on during certain downtimes, and we just built this rapport, always cracking jokes. I mean, this is one of the funniest men on the planet without even trying to be funny. He just has this wit. And I've always appreciated that about him. So when he talks about, like, you know, his life and so forth, I'm always intrigued because you don't know, you know, what he's going to say next, and he's always full of surprises. So he's definitely somebody that I always admired, man. So tell us a little bit about your background in terms of, like, did you play sports growing up? Like, what was your upbringing like? From middle school all the way up?
So sure, I mean, you know, back in those days, I didn't have the Xboxes and all the stuff that everybody has now. So it was just about going outside and being active and just doing stuff. So I was constantly outside, whether it was playing kickball, played basketball throughout high school. That's always been my love sport is basketball. I like to watch football, but I love to play basketball. And yeah, I played basketball in high school. Wasn't good enough, wasn't tall enough to play. Well, I was 6'1", but I played my high school. We weren't that big, so I was one of the taller persons on the team. So with being 6'1", that's not going to get you any type of a 6'1" center's not going to get you any type of scholarships or anything like that. But after high school, I continued to play basketball for at least until I turned and got to my 40s. And then after I got to my 40s, stuff's just when you hurt, it hurts for a longer time, and you just realize that you can't do what you used to do. But basketball's always been my love. Right now, actively, I like to play tennis. We used to play a lot with the family. I have some coworkers that I play with now that we really have a good time in playing tennis. So I like to keep active, always keep active. I've always been very competitive. For some reason, I just don't like to lose, which is sometimes is a bad thing, but sometimes it's a good thing because it makes you strive for different things. So, yeah, basketball has always been my love. As I sit here depressed last night because of what happened with the Falcons, but hey, I'm gonna watch them again on Sunday, so it is what it is.
It is what it is. You know, rise up, like they say.
Yep.
So, growing up, were you like a chubby kid? Were you a skinny kid? Were you like in the middle, even though you were 6'1"? Like, kind of tell us a little bit about that.
So growing up, I was always, because I was so active, I was considered a skinny kid. I was, when I graduated high school, I was 6'1", 175 pounds.
Wow.
Played basketball, ran a lot, and was in great shape, and just started, after high school, slowly, and then more rapidly, just picking up weight, because you're not as active and you don't do the things you used to do.
Right. So when do you think, when was it that you started picking up the weight and noticing the weight? So
it's hard to say. I know when I started picking it up, and what's crazy is, even to this day, when I look at old pictures, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I was that big and that heavy. Because the thing with me was, although I had picked up the weight, I was still very active. I didn't run, but I used to play, like I said, play basketball until my 40s. So I was always playing basketball, and then we'd have things here where I work, and we'd have competition. I usually was one of the top ones in the physical part of it. Although I was one of the heavier ones, so that was kind of unique in an aspect of itself. But I guess I really didn't notice until I got into my 50s, and then you start going to the doctor, and they say, hey, these levels are up. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. So you look at yourself, and then I had this game, as probably most people don't know, it's called the Wii. And that was real popular back maybe 10, 15 years ago. And you get on it, and you have a little stepping game, and it put your weight on there. And when you get on there, it told me, hey, you're obese. And I'm like, wow.
The game told you that?
When you step on the thing, it will tell you your weight, if you're in shape or not. It will say you're obese. It said it so slowly. I was like, wow. So, yeah, I didn't really, until I looked at some old pictures of myself from 10, 15 years ago, I didn't really see it. Back then, you don't really notice it, especially if you're active.
Right.
But then when you start going to the doctor and they start saying, hey, look, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, then you realize, hey, I got to change. I got to do some modifications here.
Right. Now, when we used to work together, I don't remember you being a big guy, and then when I was getting ready for the podcast, I was looking at some old pictures. I was like, okay, I would always see you in suits. We always saw each other in suits. You know what I'm saying? And I don't recall you being, heavy. Right. So when you were doing during that period, I don't know how long that's been, but what was your max weight that you can remember?
I remember being at 278 pounds.
That was your max?
That's my max. And the reason I remember that is because one day I was just looking, I'm a big sports fan. Right. And I was looking at the Falcons roster. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, I weigh more than 75% of the team, except for the linemen. Of course, the linemen are cut up and in shape and his muscle. Right. And, it was just like, wow. It would fluctuate, but the highest I ever remember myself was being like 278.
Wow. Now, was that when you went to the doctor and found that out, or was it you just got on the scale and realized that?
I got on the scale and realized it. Got on the scale and I said, wow, 278. And still at that time, like you said, my build, it didn't look fat and sloppy. Right. So it didn't look bad. But until I look at it now, it looked bad, but it didn't look bad to me back then. So, 278 was, wasn't a bad thing.
Wow. So a lot of guys, we carry our weight differently. So where were you carrying most of your weight?
I was carrying most of it in my middle section, but basically from my chest on down, my upper body was huge. Right.
So go ahead. Sorry.
Because I was so active and my legs have always been smaller, muscular legs because of basketball and all that. Right. So that never changed, but it was mainly in my upper body.
Wow. So what about coworkers and peers? Do you find everybody was kind of in the same situation? Used to be an athlete, picked up some weight and everybody just kind of the same?
It is. And one of the things, especially when you get older, is depending on your job and your lifestyle as far as eating. And that's one of the main things is, just getting something quick to eat and getting something quick to eat. Usually if it's quick, it's not good for you. Right. So that's one of the main things, especially in the profession I'm in, is quick eating was one of the things to do, or go out to eat it, go to lunch every day, get something to eat. Usually it was fried and it wasn't anything healthy.
Wow. So speaking about that, what do you paint a picture of what was your eating habits on a regular basis, Monday through Friday, going to work, doing the other stuff on the side? What was that like?
So I remember this was, I would take my daughter to school and then this was an every morning thing when I did it. And there was a gas station. I'll stop at the gas station and get a large coffee. And I would get 2 of whatever, not donuts, but whatever kind of apple fritters or whatever kind of eclairs or whatever they had. I get 2 of those every morning. I sit in the car and I drive to work and I come to work and sit in the office and probably look for some breakfast after that. I never would bring anything. So I always go out and try to get something across the street, maybe cheese toast, something like that, pancakes or something like that, nothing healthy. And then lunch will be the same thing. We'll find out where we're going to go to lunch and have a big hearty lunch. And then come home and then eat a hearty meal. So yeah, it was, and it was never anything salads or anything healthy like that. It was something fried or something a lot of carbs.
So getting up early, doing the coffee, whatever pastry, getting a snack, eating lunch, fried food, getting home, eating whatever you have for dinner. But then how about snacking late at night? Did you ever do any of that?
Oh yeah. Anything is available to me that I had in the house, I would snack late at night. I never thought about what I was doing was putting weight on me. snack late at night. I'm one of my biggest issues now, even today, is I love sweets. Sweets are my biggest issue.
Right.
I love sweets, candy, anything with sugar in it. So that's one of my biggest downfalls, even to this day, is something with sweets in it. So I would always have something sweet in the house or something like that. Yeah.
So then when was it that you really started taking notice, like, man, this is like getting out of control?
So, I guess I did my first Peachtree. I have a lot of family members that run. So they kept saying, let's do the Peachtree. And so, like I said, I was always active and mobile, anything like that. So it wasn't a big deal to me. So I did my first Peachtree. And so two of my family members who were both older than me finished ahead of me. And so, I talked about the competition and how competitive I am. So I started running more to prepare for the next race, because we started doing a lot of races together to be able to beat them. And so, you start losing weight a little bit. You don't really see it, but other people start seeing it. And then you get the comments, hey, you losing weight, you're looking good. And, you start getting a little arrogant and all that. So it makes you, and that's, people don't realize that's motivation to make you want to keep losing and losing and losing. So I would say maybe around 2015 is when I started running, 16, 17, and then really during COVID, because there was I had a lot of downtime.
Really?
I would really run a lot. And that's when I really started taking, probably that was in 18, 19. That's when I really started taking the weight loss part of it seriously.
Wow. So I remember you would post every now and then on social media, you ran the Peachtree and you and your wife would post stuff. And I'm like, I didn't know, Coleman, you would run. And I'm like, okay, now at this time, I'm slowly creeping up in weight. So for me, it was 2014 to about 2020. I had ballooned up to 268. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was up to 268. And so hearing you talk about like, with some family members, y'all decided, okay, we're going to run this, it kind of brings me back to that time period. So what was like your mindset when you were getting ready to tackle running, knowing that you have this weight on you and you're probably not feeling your best? Like, what was your mindset about yourself at that time?
So that's one thing. And even to this day, I hate running. I'm planning, because it's in the 50s today, is when we finish this, is to go to the belt line and just do a little bit. But I hate running. But I no longer play basketball. When the doctors start telling you you're pre-diabetic, the doctors start telling you that you got high blood pressure, you need to watch your cholesterol. So you have to change your mindset and say, okay, these are my issues. And I hate to say it like this, but you see other people with those same issues, and you see them at your same age or older, and you're just watching them decline, and they're not doing anything about it. And you're like, all this stuff can be prevented if I just do something and just change. You don't have to change a lot, just change a little bit.
Right.
So, so that's when I started. And, I would still take my daughter to school, but I would no longer go by the Quick Trip, or I shouldn't say this. I would no longer go by the gas station and get donuts and stuff. Right. I would drop her off and then come directly to the gym and start working out. And then that made a big difference. And then like I said, you've got to, and it's hard to do. Right. What you got to realize is, okay, when I get 60 and 70 years old, do I want someone taking care of me, or do I want to be able to take care of myself? Right. So we want to still be vibrant in your 60s and your 70s. So you've got to tackle it and say, okay, look, this is why I'm doing it. And like I said, I'm running today, and I don't want to run. I want to go home, chill out, and play video games. Right. But I know that if I don't, then I'm gonna start picking up old habits again, and your body will start saying, okay, well, your metabolism starts slowing down again, and you'll start doing some of the things you used to do. So, do I like running? No, I can't stand it. Do I want to run? No, but I feel like I have to. Wow. And then another key is to try to find someone that is maybe want to do the same thing that you're doing as far as exercise. So I have a couple of coworkers that we'll run in the morning. Of course, my wife likes to run. My wife's in great shape, but she still loves to run. So she and I will run together. But it's finding a group of people that's got the same goals and it's going to push you. Mentioning, hey, you're not running today and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that. I see you didn't run, or you're not sharing your stuff with me. What's going on? Right. So just getting somebody to hold you accountable. But yeah, the thing is, to change your mindset, it's hard to do. But the way I looked at it is, okay, I have a daughter, 20 years old. I want to make sure that, I see her well into her older years. So, the only way to prevent that is to get yourself in better condition.
Man, you just dropped a whole bunch of knowledge there, man. Because we both know some people who, even though they have the diagnosis,
right,
they're probably on medication.
Right.
They've gained a lot of weight and they know they have to change, but they're just like, hey, this is just my plight in life. You know what I mean? But then you have others that say, you know what, Coleman, I hear what you're saying. I see the change that you've made. I want to do the same thing. So kind of take us back to, okay, you started running. You not really a big fan of running, but when did you really start seeing the weight to come off? Like, how much weight did you lose, number one? And when did you really start seeing this progress that you were making? And what kept you going?
So the lightest I've been since I started this is 206 pounds.
Right.
That was about a month ago. I weighed myself after we did that 10K line. So you have to do, and what I tell people too, weigh yourself in the morning because you're going to be your lightest. But if you're looking for positives, just something to keep you going, then go work out, go run, because that sweat's going. When you come back, you wake up in the morning, you may be 211.
Right.
You may go work out, you come back, you're 209. So that's a positive. But with me, I still see it and I don't see it. But you see it, you start seeing it. You're going to start seeing it in your clothes. Because one thing I tell people, you see yourself every day.
Every day.
You're not going to really notice it. But when coworkers and people that see you start commenting, then you realize that some things are going good. So, when I kept getting down, and I think around 215, 214 is really where I'm plateauing, and it's difficult. But what I noticed 8 or 9 years ago, when I'm working out, and I didn't see any difference in weight in the first 2 or 3 weeks, then I'm like, the heck with it, man. I'm just going to do my thing. It's not working. So what I tell people to do is stick with it. And a lot of people go to the gym and they just lift weights, and that's great. But you've got to do cardio, to get that heart moving and get that blood flowing, because that's one of the biggest things you're going to see is the cardio is going to make your weight. You're going to help you with your weight. It's going to help you with breathing. But then when you start doing your running and you're lifting weights, then of course, while you're sleeping, your muscles are trying to recover. So that's going to help you also. But it's a slow process, and it can be discouraging. So you have to do little tricks like I do, like weigh yourself in the morning when you wake up, then go work out, do a strenuous workout, especially during the summertime. Then come back home, weigh yourself, and see you lost 5 pounds. And then you say, yeah, I'm good. But you have to do things to kind of keep yourself motivated, because you're going to plateau. Like I said, I plateaued for like maybe a year, 2 years, and you could do things. And I'm one of those people that I don't do the extreme dieting type of things.
Yeah.
I still, if I ate the way you ate, I'd be a lot smaller than what I am now. I see the some things you post. I still, like I said, have my sweet tooth and things of that nature.
Right.
But I know my limits, and I can't do like I used to do, eat a whole cake. Just maybe I eat a piece of cake this time, and then, go work out in the morning or something. So you're going to plateau at a certain weight. That's just life, and you can do things to kickstart that. But if if you're seeing yourself and your clothes are fitting different, so I would I was up to a point, I think I had to get a 54 suit.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so now I can do a 44.
Wow.
So that's a 10 size difference. So that's when you see it. And I still joke with my wife now. I still call myself fat. And that's just something I do to keep myself motivated. I wouldn't, I'm not that harsh on other people, but I'm harsh on myself. But I always say,
No, you harsh on other people, certain people.
well, I didn't want to say that, but but I mean, I have coworkers that are trying to do things, and we're harsh on each other. But that you have to know who you're talking to and who you're dealing with, and they're able to take that. But
right,
yeah, the key is, like I said, you're going to plateau. Mm-hmm. Don't get discouraged, and with me. When I start seeing it come off slowly, you start plateauing around 250. You're still big, but you're not as big as you used to be. Maybe I'm in a 52 suit now.
Right.
So you start getting there, then you really start taking it seriously. And like I said, around 18, 19 when I really started taking it seriously, and the weight just started coming off. It would come off slowly, but it came off.
Man, there are people who I talk to, I may meet them at the gym or they write in to the show and they're like, Oscar, I'm a former athlete, kind of similar to your story. I did this, I did that. And just when I hit my 40s, or late 30s or early 40s, I just kind of let myself go. I put on the weight, my clothes start, not fitting right. And it was like, I just feel like right now I'm stuck. And so you had the drive and the motivation to say, you know what? Yeah, this is hard. I still like sweets, but I'm going to keep at this, right? There's some people who face a lot of challenges, right? Whether it's financial challenges and they don't eat right, whether it's relationship, work, whatever. And they're just kind of stuck in this place of like, man, I don't know if I can, do what y'all are talking about. Oh, that's great, Coleman, that you did this. Oh, that's great, Oscar, you did this. But I don't know if I can do that. What would you say to people like that who are in that situation?
I say a lot of, I see it all the time. We call it excuses. Because as we know, nothing is easy. To go out and get that BMW, it's not easy. You worked hard for it. You work hard for it. To go out and get something, a purse or a pair of shoes you want, you work hard for it. So I've learned, and I'm not being critical of people, and I was one myself, so I can just say myself, I learned from myself that we can talk about what we want to do.
Right.
But we can want to do it, but we also know that we're not doing it. And this is the reason why we're not doing it, is because of ourselves. Me personally, you get tired of talking about it. You get tired of making excuses. What I've done, it didn't cost a lot of money. It didn't cost anything. You can run, you don't need a gym membership. You can go outside and do some of the things, even what I tell people to do, just start and just walk. And I tell people that they want to know what I did, and there's no magic pill. I know there's a Ozempic and all that other stuff out there that that if I don't get down, maybe I'll start taking that. But the thing is, that stuff is out there.
Right.
And, you may lose the weight, but you still, if you got heart condition, if you're not moving, if you're not being physically active, you're still going to have some of the same problems that you had before. You just may not, you're just a little smaller.
Right.
So, we have excuses. There's I can think of 30 reasons why I don't want to go to the Beltline today and run, but I'm right here close by, and I'm going to do it. Do I want to do it? No.
Man, I had gotten up to almost a 4X in like shirts and stuff like that.
Wow.
Man, yeah, it was crazy, man. And so I remember having the button down shirt. I was at like a 17.5-inch collar. It was tight. Couldn't even breathe. I remember going on a job interview and I had the tie on, but you could put the tie on without buttoning it. Right. And man, just struggling because that's all I had at the time going to the interview. And I remember looking back at some pictures, man, when I was at my max weight. And I was like, man, Oscar, how did you get here? And I don't know if you know the story, but man, I almost died, August 2020. Went into the hospital, was there for about 5 days, man.
Wow.
And 5 days in the hospital. And August 2020. And I remember just sitting in the hospital and that's when I learned that I had type 2 diabetes in the hospital.
Wow.
I ignored the doctor, a couple years before saying, hey, you're bordering pre-diabetes. Now you're pre-diabetic. You got to get this together, right? and I was dealing with some other stuff too. So my mindset at the time was, I'm going to keep grinding, keep doing what I'm doing, but I didn't change my eating. I was not exercising. I will go on the occasional walks, but I really didn't take stuff seriously till I got to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? So to hear, what you're saying is so key because, I know a couple friends that have died because of type 2 diabetes.
Right.
Somebody I think you and I both know had a leg amputated, below the knee, and I had him on the show about a year or so ago. And man, when it comes to being motivated and having a support system, that was so important because I used to watch you. I used to watch you and your wife do your runs. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. He has a support system. Yeah. So you actually inspired me to get into running.
Okay. Yeah.
I would just watch you, but I didn't pull the trigger, if you will, until years later, and I was like, I'm going to try this thing. But it started with the walking, like you said.
Right.
I would do a lot of hiking and stuff like that. But like they say, you can't out exercise a poor diet. We all been there. I love chocolate chip cookies, piece of carrot cake. I still eat some of that every now and then. So what would you say for you was the biggest challenge that you experienced along your journey?
I would say when I talked about it a little bit early, but it's two things: the plateau, when you're not seeing any movement, when when one month you may drop 5-10 pounds a month, and then the next month, the next 3 months, you're still at the same weight. That's one of those discouraging things. But also is the challenge is the eating.
Right.
So I still eat a lot of the things that I ate before.
Right.
Just what I've learned is that I cannot eat like I would eat until I was stuffed. I did, and so now I eat to satisfy myself. But then a couple hours from there, I'm hungry again, but it's not as much as I would normally eat. When I tell people, I think we're video here. Let me see. Come back.
Yeah, are you still on?
Okay. So when I tell people, the best way to prevent some of that is to prepare your meals.
Right.
I bring my lunch every day. So I'm not going out and eating the stuff that I normally eat because everything around here is going to be quick and fast and it's going to be good. Right. So I bring my lunch every day, which is a healthier lunch that I could find here. So the most discouraging thing is, you'll find if you get yourself a treat here and now and then and just revert back to the negative eating that you did before, you still enjoy yourself. You enjoy your food and things of that nature. You just can't do the things you used to do. Right. And they used to eat. And I would say, for someone that's just starting off, I would say, well, let's just still eat what you normally eat, but maybe cut back a little bit and do it in smaller portions and eat until you're satisfied. And it's hard to do. Right. Make yourself satisfied and not stuff yourself because, usually on Thanksgiving in those days, you just stuff yourself and you can't wait for a couple hours. Right. Just eat smaller portions and then your stomach will start shrinking and your body get used to that. But yeah, the most discouraging thing is just like I said, is the challenging thing is the plateauing of your weight. And what I tell people also is, and not I tell myself, but it's when you're dealing with yourself, it's always harder to understand yourself. Right. Even though you may say the scale may say 225 for a month, you may still have lost some mass. But if you're doing weights, you're gaining muscle mass. So right. So Anthony and I actually track each other's workouts and so forth on the Apple Watch. So you have where you challenge each other, whatnot. And I just remember when we first started sharing each other's activities and stuff like that, I would see man, this dude's he's on it, doing the workouts, doing the runs, doing the walks and stuff like that. And it's something about having that motivation. You know what I'm saying? So, Coleman, there was another thing I wanted to share with you.
you mentioned earlier about the 10K that we ran not too long ago, right?
Right.
About a month ago or so. So man, I was prepared for it. And for me, like the 10Ks up until this point, I mean, it's just like I'll do a 10K every day, like it's no problem, right?
Right.
But I was so in my head that day, right? My watch wasn't working and all this stuff. And I was prepared. And I felt like that was one of my worst races because I was in my head, right? I had started strong, started way too fast. And I don't know, by mile, I don't know if it was 4 or something, somebody taps me on my back or actually hits me on my back. And it was like, come on, keep going. You're an inspiration to people. Something. And that was Coleman. That was you. You hit me on the back. And I was like, man, because I was like, I was not physically worn out. It was a mental thing, And you're talking about, yeah, you had some hills, but on the flat parts, I was walking. I'm like, Oscar, why are you walking? This is like nothing.
Right.
But I just wanted to say that to you, you know what I mean? That really helped get me an extra mile going. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man. Is there anything else you can say about the support system? You mentioned about your wife, you mentioned about coworkers, but what has that support system meant to you and having that support?
I mean, it means a lot. My wife's supportive. Like I said, it's always good to have someone that has the same type of mentality that you have, so that when we are when she's cooking, and my wife's she's always been blessed with a small frame, so when she
Right.
she doesn't make all that junk for me. She makes sure it's healthy,
Right.
healthy enough that I'll still enjoy it. But the support system is great, and like I said, and having coworkers having the same type of mentality you have, and then you see them losing weight, and that motivates you. It's what you don't want to do is get with some people that are or have the same type of mentality that you have as far as weight loss. And if you had that mentality that, hey, look, I'm gonna do it, but I don't feel like doing it. If both of you guys are thinking that, then that's going to be a problem. So obviously, you're not going to get with a Kenyan and start running the marathons or anything like that.
Right.
So go places where you can be motivated. I go to the Beltline, and you see people running. And like I said, things motivate me. So I may say to myself, well, I'm going to run this whole thing. I don't want nobody to see me walking. So stuff like that motivates me. And even going back to the race that Oscar was talking about. So like I said, I'm competitive. My goal was, and Oscar was going pretty fast, I was just going to stay with him because I think he was running with another partner.
You're right.
So I was staying with Oscar, and then we got to the straightaway on the belt line. I was just going to sprint and pass him on the way in. But when he slowed down, I slowed down because, that was my motivation. Because my motivation was just to keep you within 7 or 8 feet. You never knew I was behind you.
Wow.
And he was running with another guy.
Right.
Even though the other guy kept going, you would motivate me to keep going, to keep up with you so that I could pass you in. So when you slow down, although I kept running, I slowed down my pace. So you kind of messed my time up. So that's what you have to do when you do stuff like that. You have to, I tell when I'm running sometime, I see a person, I'm like, well, you know what? No matter what I do, this person's not going to beat me. So those are little motivating factors that you have to do. If you don't have a great support system, if you're just doing things by yourself, then just use other people to motivate you.
Right.
Like I said, I see people, when I go to the belt, I see the same people running every day, every morning. And, that's a great thing. Go to Stone Mountain sometime. I went with a friend of mine, and everybody knew them because they were out there every day. So you have to get with like-minded people that want to do the thing. If you're losing weight, and if you have that negative mindset, you want to get with somebody that has a positive mindset and it's going to motivate you, and you not necessarily get upset with them because they may say, look, you're gaining weight, you're eating like a pig, and you're doing this, you're doing that. You need to reverse this, you need to do that. So a lot of times we do what makes us comfortable, and we hang around people that make us comfortable. Even our circle of friends, those are the ones you're comfortable with, which is great when you're doing things at the house or whatever. But then when you're working out and you're trying to do something different, you have to go to you have to get different friends, different mentality, different mindsets than what you currently have.
Man, that's so powerful, man. And thinking back to that race, I remember when you passed me and I was like, okay, I gotta catch up. You know what I mean? Because I knew what I was capable of doing. Like I said, 6 miles or 10K, that's at this point now in my running and weight loss journey is like nothing, right?
Right.
But I learned a lot about myself during that race because I was so in my head. I was looking at I run with 2 watches,
Right.
and one of the watches was off, and my heart was elevated. As soon as we started, I'm looking at the watch. It was wrong, and I was just totally messed up the whole race. And then I was talking to a couple buddies afterwards, and I was like, man, I did real bad. And it was like, no, Oscar, you ran strong. I know you slowed down. You walked a couple times, but you actually, inspired a lot of guys to finish strong, because a lot of people don't know this, Coleman. I actually have only been running for just over a year, maybe a year and 6 months now, period. And they're like, man, I thought you've been running for years. I'm like, no, it's just, I'm like you. I'm motivated. I'm focused. Now, yeah, I've lost over 80 pounds. And yeah, there's times where I may have a cheat meal, but that's not a part of my regular lifestyle, right? Because I don't want to go back to that person who was 268, almost died, was on medication, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and so forth. And I just want to help people to really turn their life around, and you had talked about a while ago, a mutual friend of ours, who also started losing weight, you know what I mean? And they may not be running, but they went through process, whatever that process was. So, man, I want to say, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. Because believe it or not, there's people watching you. You know what I mean? Anything else you want to share for my audience or with my audience?
No. I just, like I said, I appreciate you joining you guys today. And like I said, just, whatever you do, do it for yourself. If there's any type of, like I said, my motivation was just to be here and talk to you guys and be here longer than, I typically would if I left that. If I still was at 278, I'd probably be closer to 290 now because I'm older. So my motivation was just to be here longer for my family, do things, enjoy life, and enjoy my retirement. So with that being said, just focus on little wins. And another thing that I do, I'll set, like this, if I'm going to Mexico in 6 months, I'll set a goal. I'll say, hey, you know what? I want to be 205 by the time I go to Mexico. So little things like that, people don't realize, just setting little goals for yourself. We could say, okay, by Valentine's Day, I want to be, if you're at 268, I want to be at 250 and, 18 pounds in a month and a half, which can be done because a lot of that fat just burns off when you first start. When you first start, you'll start seeing if you're doing a lot of cardio, you'll see a great reduction. Then it'll slow down. Slow down, and then it'll pick back up and slow down. But just do something. Be active. Do something. If you're diagnosed with diabetes, I mean, diabetes is reversible. It is reversible.
Right.
It is reversible, but it's up to you. You can sit around with it and mope and complain and eat, or you can do something about it. And it's not. And the things I did is not. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of that real quick, paint a picture of what's your typical week when it comes to like your physical exercise. Well, what's a typical week for you?
So since my daughter's way in college, I no longer have to go to school. I now have to take her to school in the morning. So I'm basically at 6:45, I'm at the gym. I'm going to either walk, run, depending on what day it is. If it's a Monday, I'm going to walk, maybe run a little bit, and then hit the weights. Tuesday, I may just walk and run a little bit. So I just do a combination of that and keep that going. Saturday, if I'm able to do a race or something, I'll do a race. On Sundays, it's usually more of a relaxing day. But anytime you can be active, especially during the summer, I'm a lot more active during the summer because of the weather. Right. Anytime you can be active, especially outside, I take advantage of that. Like I said, I don't love working out. I'm not what they call a gym rat, but I do realize that those are some of the things that you will benefit from and get rewards in the end.
All right, so Coleman, so one question that people always have, right? Okay, I want to start running, but I'm not trying to run, really long distances. I want to do short distances. For you, though, what's been the longest race that you've run?
With me, it's been a half marathon. I've done two of those. I was scheduled to do one this Thanksgiving. I signed up for it and got my runner's thing, but something came up. I couldn't do it. So what we did is we decided to, we missed that one. We being me and my wife, we missed that one. So we signed up for one in February in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're doing a half marathon in Las Vegas. We wanted to do my wife talked me into doing, we want to do a full marathon. So my wife signed us up for the Chicago one, but we were denied.
Oh, okay.
And if we raise a certain amount of money, we can get in. But we was like, we're not doing that. So
right.
I'm gonna eventually do a marathon. I'll set myself. For a half marathon, I always say I want to do it up under 2 hours, which is a pretty good time. It's not great. You got professional runners that do much better. And for a full marathon, I would say maybe 4.5 hours to do one, but I've never done one before. But that's my next goal, is to do a marathon, and then I'm done. I said after I did my last half marathon, which was probably in 19 or 20, that I wasn't going to do any more distances like that. But my wife wants to do another one, so I think we'll do it. And that's one of the things I talked about earlier is, so I have that coming in February, so that makes me have to run because I'm so competitive. I don't want to walk it. So I'm going to have to go out and run and get ready for that. So people, you can set yourself goals. I'm walking races. 5Ks are not very expensive, maybe like $35 or $40. You get a T-shirt, medal. So if you want to walk it. But it gives you a goal. It's something to look forward to. Okay, I'm doing a 5K this weekend, so I need to walk this week to get in better physical shape. So yeah, that's one of the things. So yeah, right now half marathon's the longest I've done. Going to do a marathon one day within the next 2 years.
Wow. Well, Publix, you got the Publix half marathon and full marathon.
Yeah, I don't want to. If I do one, I may do it. If they got one in Vegas, I'll do it, and that's because I know Vegas is flat.
Yeah. Atlanta is crazy, man. Yeah.
So if I do one, it will be out of the state where I know it's flat, like Vegas or Arizona or somewhere like that.
Wow. Yeah. And I was thinking about doing Chicago too, but not next year, maybe the another time.
Yeah.
But I want to get through this year, and I want to do more half marathons like you. I did sign up for the full marathon because that's going to be on my birthday. Okay. So I got to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I got to do it. So yeah, man, well, we'll just wrap up, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. This is really going to impact some people's lives. Mainly Coleman, because there's people like you and I who we're ordinary people, are willing to do extraordinary things, like you're not just dropping the weight, because people, you can easily go get surgery, right? Not against anybody who wants to do surgery. Yeah, you could take the different pills and take these shortcuts, but like you, there's people who are like, I'm competitive. I want to put in the work and keep putting in the work. Don't mean you have to be perfect.
Right.
But I'm willing, because like you said, your plateau may have been at 250. My plateau was at 220, and it's like, I'm trying to figure this out. I had this dramatic weight loss, but then I plateaued. What am I doing wrong? And some people, they give up, cave in, and they actually put more weight on. And I believe your heart and my heart is to help people to build this lifestyle of change and live long and live strong, man. So thank you for being on the show, man.
All right, thank you. And like I said, if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your family.
Man, that's powerful. Say that one more time.
If you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your loved ones, do it for your family.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, hold on. Yeah. All right, everybody, that's it. That's the end of this podcast episode. Tune in for future episodes, and we're going to keep up with Coleman as he does his thing. Hopefully we can have him on the show again, and maybe have his wife come on and tell the real story of what happened. So, all right, y'all. Well, folks, there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to this special episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast. I had my friend Anthony to share his story. And if his story has inspired you in any way, don't forget to share this episode with someone who might need to hear it. We could all use some inspiration. We can all use some encouragement. Your journey is to achieve great, lasting results. But just like Anthony said, it's going to require taking small steps. You don't have to go leaps and bounds, but you have to start somewhere. So as always, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.